Hello, today is the 9th of September 2024. This is Hector Vladimir. I would like to discuss 10 reasons why you should have and drive an electric vehicle as opposed to a ICE or internal combustion engine vehicle. The number 10 reason is cost. The cost of an electric vehicle is pretty much on par with that of an ICE, that's the internal combustion engine vehicle. The prices keep coming down and they are expected to be either on par or even lower than those of the ICE as the demand for ICEs begin to decline as it is expected. Their price will likely rise pretty rapidly. Also, as automakers begin to adopt electric vehicles even more than they have already, the production of ICEs will likely decrease, therefore prices for them increasing. Also, the availability of fuel for ICEs may become unaffordable for many people. We are experiencing, as of right now and for the past about 2.5 years, an inflation period where energy costs, especially those of fossil fuels, have risen dramatically. Right now, as I speak, the price for a gallon of gas here in the US is about $3 on average, and just recently it was approaching $3.50 on average.
Reason number 9
why you should choose an electric vehicle over an ICE is the many technology, comfort, convenience, and safety features that are available and that come standard with electric vehicles, such as autopilot, like as they call self-driving capabilities. They have pedestrian detection systems. They have smart and augmented cruise control systems. They also have regenerative braking, as well as backup and forward-looking cameras and radar. They have side-looking safety systems, such as warning systems for blind spot detection. And they have very convenient and handy features such as car following for heavy traffic and traffic jam periods. They also have one-pedal driving, where they are set to be driven just using the accelerator. By letting go of the accelerator, the car comes to a stop, and that is very convenient in traffic jam conditions. Reason number 8 why you should choose a EV over an ICE is the lower maintenance costs. Despite the rhetoric and bullshit out there about electric vehicles being more expensive to maintain, that is an utter lie. And the maintenance as of right now involved with EVs are very minimal, as they have simpler parts, such as the motor. The electric motor is a much simpler, elegant, and efficient machine than the internal combustion engine. And the vehicle itself has a lot less moving parts, and it very much depends on computerized solid-state systems without many moving parts. Reason number 7 why you should choose an EV over an ICE is its quietness, its smooth ride, usually much more efficient ride and aerodynamics, and much higher interior comfort and technologies, such as navigation systems, entertainment systems, and computerized systems that allow for much more convenience for the driver and passengers. Reason number 6 is that electric vehicles are the future of transportation. It has been embraced by many nations worldwide. It has been embraced by every top manufacturer, including the very first and most pioneer manufacturers such as Mercedes, Ford, General Motors, Toyota, Nissan, Honda, Volkswagen. All of the major manufacturers have embraced the electric vehicle, and this is a clear indicator that it is the future of personal, commercial, and industrial transportation. Reason number 5 is that electric vehicles are a relatively green and clean technology. Therefore, you should support it by purchasing it. It is a technology that is very much developing, very fast, and you shouldn't wait, if you can help it, to contribute to this technology, to this new and green and clean surging technology. You have the opportunity now, if at all possible, to be one of the adopters of this technology and prop it and support it, back it financially, so it could further develop, and better, safer, and more reliable electric vehicles will be developed if the technology is embraced and supported. Reason number 4 why you should choose an EV over an ICE is that it is a green technology, relatively green. The electric vehicle is fueled by electricity, which is in many areas generated using fossil fuels such as coal, natural gas, and even diesel and gas. However, the grid that charges and supports the charging of electric vehicles, it is increasingly green and increasingly renewable. Many areas of the world are fast producing solar panels, wind turbines, and deploying those to generate grid utility electricity, which is used to charge electric vehicles. This cannot be said for ICEs, internal combustion engine vehicles, which totally depend on dirty and polluting fossil fuels such as petroleum. They are all petroleum-based technologies. Therefore, they're not clean. And again, electric vehicles are increasingly being charged by renewable energies to include solar, wind, geothermal, nuclear, and biomass, among other renewable energy sources. Also, even if your area has 100% coal-powered plants, it is magnitudes better to have a single point or a handful of points of locations producing energy and perhaps producing pollution than many, many points of exhaust emission pollution as ICEs provide. It is better to have 1 or 2 or 3 power plants that can easily be controlled, regulated, and attempt to capture some of the carbon emissions. Some of these power plants have systems that attempt to capture at least a tiny amount of the pollution that they emit, and this cannot be said about the millions of ICEs out on the road. It is utterly impractical, and I would say impossible, to capture any kind of significant carbon from so many points of emissions such as ICEs. So even if this was true, that electric vehicles were completely powered by coal plants, it would still be a superior and greener and cleaner technology than ICEs. And let me remind you that ICEs not only depend on petroleum for fueling, but they depend heavily on petroleum for lubricating. They lubricate the engine and their transmissions with petroleum-based products, which routinely, consistently, and very widely leak into the roads, which is later washed into the many low-lying areas of cities and towns and all of the areas all over the world, creating a worldwide pollution condition and crises that it is more or less like a worldwide slow spill of oil that leaks from the bottom oil pans of damn near every used vehicle on the road. And this is just non-existent, not a problem with electric vehicles. Reason number 3 why you should choose an EV over an ICE is its sheer efficiency. The electric motor is magnitudes much more efficient than the internal combustion engine. It runs cooler, it runs quieter, therefore wastes a lot less energy in noise and vibration and heat. It is more efficient as far as energy to work transition. It is, to my knowledge, about 70 to 90% efficient in comparison to the internal combustion engine, which struggles to get to 30 to 40% efficient. Reason number 2 that I believe electric vehicles are a better choice for anyone to own that has the capability to make a choice between an electric vehicle and an ICE. Electric vehicles are safer. They usually have forward-looking cameras, radar, in many cases LiDAR in some countries that produce them, and they have computerized smart systems that are programmed and deployed in the vehicles to aid in safety, both the safety of the driver, the safety of people around the driver, other drivers, and especially the safety of pedestrians or people on bicycles, people on motorcycles. So these systems are aware of its environment in many cases, and they warn the driver of objects, of people, of other vehicles on the road that may be a hazard or may come in the path of travel of the vehicle or may come too close as you back up. And sometimes these vehicles have systems that take action, meaning that they slow the vehicle down right before impact, or they may have the vehicle stop completely, such as the system from Tesla has safety features that may even detect if you have fallen asleep, and the system pulls the vehicle over, comes to a complete stop, and puts the emergency flashers on. Also, the system installed in the Nissan that I drive has a system that warns you an object that you are about to strike and the vehicle comes to almost to a stop. It does slow down quite dramatically. I have experienced this myself, where I was backing up one time and came too close to another vehicle that was parked. As I was backing up, I was somewhat distracted and I came way too close to a vehicle, and this vehicle, the vehicle I'm driving, came to a stop after notifying me with a very rapid alarm beeping. And since the system didn't notice that I hit the brake, it did hit the brake for me, and it came to an abrupt stop, saving me from hitting or striking the vehicle. And perhaps this could have been the same with a person or a child that was in the path of travel of the vehicle. So safety systems are a huge advantage of electric vehicles. Many of them have them as standard, and they have significantly more safety features than ICEs by and large. Reason number 1 is clearly the benefits to the environment. this is probably the most important, should be, in my view, the most important reason why you should choose an electric vehicle. They are a green, relatively clean, and much cleaner technology than ICEs. Hands down, this is undisputable. ICEs pollute the environment as they drive. They support the most polluting industry in the world right now, which is the fossil fuel industry, by your purchases of petroleum products such as fuel, gas, diesel, etc. And not only that, but also lubricants. So you are polluting in many ways. The two that are the most polluting ways is your purchases of gas, supporting the fuel industry, and your exhaust, your emissions. So it is undeniably a dirtier, more polluting technology. So the environment, helping out the environment by not emitting pollutants into the air continuously as you drive, and also by not dripping and leaking oil everywhere you go through your oil pan down at the bottom of the vehicle, is another huge and should be the number one reason why you should choose an electric vehicle over an ICE. And you're also supporting a technology that is increasingly clean, as I have mentioned in the past. It is increasingly powered by renewable energies such as solar, wind, nuclear, geothermal, biomass, and other renewable energies. I'm talking about the utility grid is increasingly and more rapidly embracing renewable technologies and having those be part of the mix of diverse power sources that support it. So if the trend continues, renewables will be perhaps the same or even surpass the sources of dirty energy. And the grid may become, in many areas of the world especially, a green utility grid. It is possible, and perhaps it is very likely that this will take place here very soon, especially in many areas of the world, such as in Asia and many countries, and perhaps Europe and America. So switching to electric vehicles is a viable and very significant step to decarbonization, which is, again, something that is extremely critical in the mitigation of the effects of climate change. And it is something that is prescribed by the world's experts in climate sciences and climate change and global warming, that the world should decarbonize and cut emissions significantly back to the point where emissions are basically cut by half. I would think by now, maybe in a few years, this is the goal that should be embraced and that should be put to action by most people, by most of the world's nations, where emissions are cut by at least half. I believe they say by 2030, which is, by the way, only a few years away. So the adoption and embracing of electric vehicles because of the environment, it is a number one reason to choose to go electric. Thank you very much. This has been Hector Vladimir, and I hope to catch you on the next episode. Goodbye.